I stay mentally strong in my 40s, it would be the same way I stayed strong in my 20s, 30s, but now with much more wisdom. I hope it makes sense. Still the same as they say, a leopard never changes its spots, right? We only get better. But most of the time, we don't change a lot. You know, it depends what you were exposed to, what you grew up with. But people sometimes never change, right? But they just get tweaked, you know, and when they meet and encounter an awakening, then, you know, God will do that change. But we don't change a lot. The ugly toes that you had will still be your ugly toes. The nose that is flat, you know, even if you were to go to surgery, they'll change it, but that's what you were born with. I can't forget, which is why I keep a very small company of people whom I know, you know, because once you get a certain age, you don't just make friends everywhere. So I keep mentally strong that way. Also, the word of God keeps me steady and growing. I was actually looking forward to turning 40, and all it comes to from the fact that when you've achieved so much, right? So how I've recently went, how many years ago? 3-4 years ago, I've turned 40. For me, it was not a shocker. You know, if there's one thing I've always looked forward to is becoming 40. And I think for me, it has to do with what have you achieved, right? It's one thing to be frustrated and fiery about getting old. It's one thing to be afraid of getting old because you feel you haven't done much, or you feel regretful of your decisions. Unfortunately, I don't fall into that category. I've enjoyed if I look at my teenage years, mid-20s, 30s, I was teaching on something the other day, some students, we had a topic around anything that you regret. And there were few of the students who said they don't regret much. I was also in that category as their teacher to say, I don't regret much. So being 40, I didn't even pay attention to things like menopause. I haven't experienced any menopause. I mean, I had an operation, for those of you who've been following me for quite some time. I had a hysterectomy a couple of years ago, which is a procedure where you take out your womb completely. I was sick for quite some time, and I had to make a decision but thank the Lord, I already had children by then. So I didn't have to, you know, to think hard. I can imagine if that happens to someone who hasn't had children. It's a very devastating decision. I haven't experienced menopause I don't even know what it is. I mean, I still function. Things are working very well underneath there. I don't experience hot flashes and all those things. I mean,